And good afternoon again from the KCAU-9 News Studio. I'm Tim Seaman. We're awaiting officials at the Woodbury County Emergency Management Center who are giving a press briefing this afternoon. The latest here at the Sioux City area concerning flooding levels. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst has arrived there, and at this time I believe they're just checking microphones, so we're not missing anything at this point, but they'll be calling several people to the podium from both city and county government, including the emergency management manager here for Woodbury County. That's Mike Montino, as well as Woodbury County Sheriff Chad Sheehan, who has information about the communities in Woodbury County still being affected and the safety there in those communities, what they're asking people to do in some of these areas like Correctionville and some of those other rural areas. So let's check in right now. Kim Wilson from Woodbury County Emergency Management at the podium.
And she is actually going to start our press conference today. If you have questions, please ask them. We'll do that individually as everyone comes up so we don't have to keep coming up and back all the time. But again, we're going to start again. Thank you so much for being here, Senator.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Thanks for coming out today, and I'm in the region today. We'll be traveling and visiting a number of the affected communities from this devastating flood. I had a fantastic briefing today here in Woodbury County from the Emergency Management Coordinator. Got a rundown from local elected officials on what the status is. Citizen safety is always number one, and then the follow-up, infrastructure, homes, businesses. These communities will need to go through a lengthy recovery process. So through state assistance, through federal assistance, we do hope to get folks back on their feet as soon as possible. But I just want to stress again, through this flood event, safety is first. Safety is first. But ready and willing to assist however I can in this process. So any questions?
Yes, Senator. What does the federal emergency proclamation mean for the community?
Well, it means that once we have these damage assessments out there, it's fed up through the state. There is state assistance as well. And then the federal government has numerous programs as well where we can assist those that have gone through this flood event.
How does this compare with what you've seen before? I mean, way back here in 2011, everyone was saying, okay, that's our 500-year flood or whatever. And now the Big Sioux River is 7 feet higher cresting than it was back then. It's just, this is probably unprecedented from anything Northwest Iowa overall has seen.
Yeah, absolutely. This truly is unprecedented. And I would say that this year, with all of the different storm events we've had, whether it was the tornadoes in Minden, the tornadoes through Greenfield and Southwest Iowa, the flooding that we've seen already this year, we just know that we'll have a long recovery from so many different types of storm events. But I've worked many flood events in the past as a National Guardsman, was activated for the Cedar Rapids floods back in 2008, worked the 2011 flood as a Guardsman as well, as a liaison down in Southwest Iowa. And this is similar in scope, but to have so much rain at one time, it is a little different than what we saw in 2011. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Mike.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Montino. I am the Woodbury County Emergency Management Coordinator. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. We have truly had an unprecedented event here in Northwest Iowa over the past week or so, and I just want to reach out and thank all of our members of the team, our responders out in the field, our dedicated volunteers, and our civic leaders for producing such an incredible response at this time. We are working collaboratively to, first of all, preserve safety, as the Senator said, and we are also working to assess damages and plan next steps to provide disaster aid and recovery processes. At this time, we have currently had several of our cities in Woodbury County declare a state of emergency, and we together as a whole county, Woodbury County, have declared a disaster proclamation and have sent that to Iowa Homeland Security and also to the governor's office. And again, with that federal disaster declaration that we're hoping for to bring federal aid. We're hoping to get financial aid for both our citizens that have lost property or resources as a result of this event, but also help fund and reimburse our first responders and other agencies that have collaborated together to help foster such a wonderful response to this event. Also, in addition to this, I wanted to provide a couple of updates on some of the evolving situations that we've had in Woodbury County. First of all, we still are having a voluntary evacuation in Correctionville, and we encourage visitors and citizens alike, residents of Correctionville, to avoid the area so that we can work with our civic leaders and our first responders to assess those damages and make sure that that area is safe to re-enter. And we also don't want anybody getting hurt in that area. We are also having a curfew in effect from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And again, that is put in place for safety reasons. We want to ensure that our citizens stay safe during this time and avoid hidden hazards that may be present during an event such as this. As for Smithland, many of you are aware this morning that we did have a report of a levee breach. At this time, until the water recedes, we cannot confirm whether that is in fact a breach or if it was an overtop of the levee. Regardless, as a precautionary measure, we have worked with the mayor of Smithland to do a, again, voluntary evacuation. At that time, citizens chose not to evacuate, but instead go ahead and assess the situation and yet have eyes on the water that is continuing to rise at this time to ensure that they maintain their safety. We did ask that if they were going to evacuate, they went to a shelter in Ottawa, and that, to my knowledge, is still running at this time. First of all, again, I want to say that I am so grateful for the entities that have come together during this disaster event. Again, because it's unprecedented, a lot of the models that we've been looking at are based on historical data, and again, it's very difficult to predict, but I am hopeful that across the board we are starting to see those river and stream levels start to decrease, so that way we can begin our recovery process. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Asap. I'm with Sioux City Fire Rescue here to give just an update on conditions here within the Sioux City. The Big Sioux River stopped overtopping our levee last night somewhere around 12 p.m. Since then, we've been able to remove just over a foot of water that was trapped inside of our levee area. We don't have a good estimate on how long it's going to take to remove all of that, but we're making good progress since it has stopped. Right now, we're down to only 49 homes within that area that are flooded. We're going to begin tomorrow getting some city officials out with Mid-American Energy to start assessing the structures that had the water, or excuse me, had the electricity, gas shut off to them because they were submerged, to get those inspected, get those utilities restored so we can get people back in. All other areas of Riverside are open. We've had a lot of reports of the rumors out there that we were evacuating in for many different reasons. This is not the case. We have a very small portion, like I said, that still has water. Every place else, roads are open, people can come back, all right? We just want to make sure that that's clear. The only other area we have seen any issues was along Larson Park Road. Right now, we're going to reopen the east end of Larson Park Road that's accessible off of Floyd there. At that point, we don't want people headed west further into Larson Park. It'll still remain closed, obviously, at Hamilton until we can get the water off that intersection there. Even once that opens, we're going to keep that center section closed because we have a lot of debris that has floated up in there. We want to make sure it's safe for the visitors of the park, and just give us time to clear it out if you can. The next most important thing that's been alluded to a couple times is we need to know about damage. Included in the press release for today, and it will be on any social media site for our Sioux City Fire Rescue, the city, everybody will have a website that you can go to. Any flood damage we'd like reported, even if you were not directly in the area that had street flooding, if you got damage in your basement, we want to know about it. What that does is it builds up and it can determine the resources that could head our way to help with recovery. that hits all my points. Does anybody have any questions about things here in the city?
Are there any further updates regarding Riverside?
So, like we said, that area in the Riverside area, that's where I was discussing. We've lowered that water about a foot. That's inside the dike at this point. We don't have any more water coming in over the top of it, but obviously we've got groundwater coming up just due to the height of that river.
The water stopped overtopping at sometime around midnight.
Yes.
And what do you think maybe changed from Sunday night when the fire department had a press conference saying that, you know, we think it's going to be okay, but people should be prepared as always, to obviously the river ended up going even higher than expected. What do you think changed there?
Well, what changed was the water level, obviously. Again, many of us have alluded to it already. The predictions that the National Weather Service, the hydrology folks there, they base that off history. They base it off the best data they have. Then we take that information that comes into us and we plan for it. Starting Sunday morning, our plan was 6 feet higher than what was projected at that moment. And that plan was, we were still 6 feet over by about 6 o'clock that night. Well, the water continued to rise, projections continued to change, and it went much higher than expected.
We've heard from some of the impacted residents in Riverside that they felt they didn't get much warning about the flood and that the preparations didn't seem sufficient. Do you have any response to what they're saying?
Well, in response, like I said, we were given a target to shoot for. We shot 6 feet over that. We said that will give us plenty of protection. Every time they were revised, it was, we're still good. We are still good. And another hour would pass by, we'd get another revision, and we'd say, we're still good. And the unfortunate part is there was nothing, even if we would have known about this 2 weeks ago, there was nothing we could do at this point. We cannot extend the entire length of our levee. I mean, it's impossible. We cannot wrap completely around Riverside with another 3 feet of levee. Luckily, we only had one point where it overtopped, and it was probably by that 6 to 8 inch that we went over. It was only a span of maybe 150 feet approximately. We did pretty good keeping up with that with the pumps we had in place. But unfortunately, we can't compete with Mother Nature when it's working that hard against us.
And do you have any estimate on maybe how many rescues you did? Obviously, we saw the people being taken in boats.
So to say they were rescues is a little bit of an exaggeration. We did assist 17 people with our boats out of the area. Mainly just, sometimes it was even just back in to get things that they needed. But yes, we had 17 people that we assisted with our boats.
Are there any concerns about the drinking water in Sioux City?
Absolutely none. I think somebody's going to speak to that here in a little bit, but there are absolutely no concerns about our drinking water here.
Will that person speak to the status of Sioux City's wastewater plant too, or?
You want to? Okay. Otherwise, yeah, we just had a briefing as a city staff, and that was one of the topics of discussion there, yep. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Woodbury County Sheriff Chad Sheehan. Just to discuss and kind of bring you up to speed on where we're at in Woodbury County. Out on the eastern part of Woodbury County, basically we have been cut in half where the Little Sioux River is. There are currently no bridges that are passable anywhere in Woodbury County. As you all know, Highway 20 was closed by the DOT sometime Saturday late afternoon, I believe, when water started coming onto the bridge, and then water was onto the roadway, and then water continued to just be over. There's still water over the roadway on Highway 20. No expected guess on when that's going to open, but there were other bridges. As the water kept rising, we had to keep going further south to get across to even be able to get into Correctionville. Yesterday afternoon, the mayor decided of Correctionville that he wanted to close Correctionville to non-residents. So we put some checkpoints in place, 3 different checkpoints staffed by members of our office. Anybody that was not a resident or had no business being in town was not going to be allowed in there. There was also a curfew, I believe Saturday night and Sunday night. I've been led to believe it will be in place again tonight. And after 9:30, just a correction on the curfew time. The curfew time is 9:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. For those dark hours, when it becomes dangerous, as water levels either rise or fall and debris is moved in different places, you might think you're familiar with the area, but there may be new hazards that aren't there, and that's why that's been put in place. So no one will be allowed in Correctionville after 9:30 p.m. Residents, while during the day they're free to be in there and do everything that they need to do to get their lives as back to normal as they possibly can, but from 9:30 p.m. to 6 a.m., no one will be allowed re-entry in Correctionville. We had a little bit of a mess in Smithland this morning with traffic. With the detour of Highway 20, traffic was being routed through Woodbury County and basically down across into Smithland on 141, and when that road was closed, it became a little bit of a nightmare for us. So the message that we put out earlier, and I just want to reiterate it again, if you know anybody that's trying to get east, the safest, quickest route is going to be to take I-29 south to Ottawa and take 175, which is the main highway east out of Ottawa, and then go that way to get east. And from there you can choose whatever route, wherever you're going, but that's going to be the safest, quickest route. As the senator mentioned, you know, our priority is the safety of our citizens and our residents, so you can expect to see increased patrols in Riverside, in other parts of Woodbury County that are going to be affected. I would just say let this be a warning to anybody who has any nefarious ideas of taking advantage of anybody that's being affected by these things. It will absolutely not be tolerated. People will go to jail, and we will deal with them as swiftly as the criminal justice and harshly as the criminal justice system allows us to do so. But just know, the residents that are affected, if you see us and you need us, please don't hesitate to flag us down, let us know. You can always call 911. And then the other thing, as far as safety, is the people that, first of all, if you don't belong there, stay out of there. There's people's lives who are being swept down the rivers right now, and the last thing they want to see is gawkers and people just, you know, want to see what it looks like. Visit one of our Facebook pages. We're showing drones and everything, so stay out of the area. If you happen to be in the area for one reason or another, please obey road signs. You may think that that water is only 6 inches deep, and we've had it happen repeatedly over the last several days, where within a minute they have water up over their hood, and now they have to put people in jeopardy to try and rescue them. So please, don't do that. Stay out of the water. Don't go there if it's not required to be there. Stay out of there. But you know, if you need us, call us. We'll come. But just let the residents try to do their recovery. Let the people that are there to help do their job and stay out of their way. Any questions for me?
Do you have any reports of injuries throughout the last 3, 4?
I don't believe there have been any injuries. We haven't had any injuries that I know of.
So you mentioned the checkpoint in Correctionville. If you're able to provide detail, kind of what is that for those who don't know?
We've got, the roads are blocked and they're staffed by Woodbury County Sheriff's personnel, and you'll be asked to identify yourself, and if you can't show an ID that you live in Correctionville, you'll be turned around and told to go the other way. And listen, I'm a person who believes in freedoms and liberties and everything else, but the declaration of the emergency gives the mayor the authority to do that. And we have a 28E agreement. We provide law enforcement service for every rural township and city in Woodbury County. And we've been given the heads up from the county attorney's office that if you fail to obey, you'll go to jail. It's that simple. If you turn around and leave, fine, go whatever, be on your way. But if you don't, we're not going to negotiate at the side of the road. You're going to go to jail.
Do you have any idea? You mentioned you can't, excuse me. You mentioned you can't really go east. Do you have any idea when you might be able to, or maybe it's too hard?
I have no idea. I think it's too early to tell.
And on the evacuations, if I understood correctly, all of them in Woodbury County are voluntary. Do you know why they're voluntary versus some other counties have done mandatory?
Well, at this point, I don't believe it's gotten, the water levels in the areas haven't gotten to a point where we have felt that a mandatory evacuation and some declaration from the state would be required to keep people safe. Of course, that's dependent on the levees holding and those types of things. And so there still could be a potential that those could change, but right now I just don't think it's risen to the level that we've had to do that to ensure their life safety. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm Kyle Gates with the Secondary Roads Department, and I just want to reiterate what Sheriff said about staying out of the closed roads. If you see a barricade that says the road's closed, it's closed, don't go down it. When we do get to the point of reopening roads, just still don't go down the roads until those barricades are lifted. We have to inspect, especially on the pavements. Sometimes they become undermined. They could collapse as you drive over them. Gravel's not so much, but still stay off them until we open it officially with those signs being taken down. We have, the Iowa DOT has a 511 map showing their roads that are closed, and we also have a county one. Our link is on our secondary roads website. And any questions?
No, same
For us.
question, I guess. I just asked Sheriff, probably would have been better directed to you. Any idea on when any of these bridges could reopen?
We do not at this time until the waters go down and we have a chance to check them out, make sure they haven't been hurt in any way that would compromise the bridges, and inspect the roads as well. So you'll see the water down, but don't go across them yet. So
Do you have to inspect every bridge? Is that how that
we need to
works?
take a look at every bridge that's had water up to it. Yes, we do.
How long do those inspections take per bridge?
Probably an hour or two when we get out to them, when we're able to, for a quick look over. Otherwise, if it looks like we need to do more in depth, it could be a few more hours to check it over. So
And how many bridges do you think we're talking about here?
I would say around a dozen bridges that are on the Little Sioux. Any others? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Brad Pittz, Utilities Director for the City of Sioux City. As one of the questions alluded to, for drinking water, city crews were able to begin protecting water infrastructure on Sunday morning. All of those efforts were successful. With the water receding, we had a very good process, and we were able to ensure that none of the wells were inundated with any floodwaters. Right now, the water system looks like it's in very good condition, barring any unforeseen events with further rainfall. We don't anticipate any impacts to the drinking water at all. With that, I'll take any questions.
On the, I believe it was the wastewater, we were told something like 8 out of the 10 steps have been bypassed because of how overwhelming it was. What's the latest on that?
So the wastewater plant is operating above capacity right now. They are direct discharging to the Missouri River as needed, but they're able to handle a lot of these flows very well without, having too many impacts to the residents at this time.
And obviously, the issues at the wastewater plant have been well discussed. How long can the plant run over capacity?
If impacts don't increase at this point in time, I think they will be able to operate as they are now for the foreseeable future.
You said they're discharging the waste into the river?
Yeah, just due to the inundation from the flood waters, they're having to direct discharge. I believe those numbers have decreased since the initial flood of the sewer system. So.
Did you know about how much, per hour or whatever?
I believe the number right now was 1 million gallons per day.
That's untreated?
Yeah, direct discharge.
And can you put that in perspective? A million sounds like a lot, but is that, how does that compare?
61 million are going through the plant right now.
Yeah, so the plant is capable of taking, they are taking 61 million gallons right now. So direct discharge of 1 million gallons per day is, the plant's taking care of it. One thing we do want to mention, as the question was asked before, staff is aware that there is some information going around of a boil order. That is absolutely not the case. Sioux City has not issued a boil order at this time, nor do we anticipate having to issue a boil order due to the flood. Thank you.
Yes, Kevin Grem, Director of Sioux District Health Department. Just kind of follow up what Brad shared, there are no boil orders currently in effect for any Woodbury County towns or cities. If there is a boil order issued for any of these, the best source of information is to reach back to the city office. And I think in this case, the majority of you as the media would be alerted, along with any social media presence. I think some of the confusion that came up related to this is Sioux District Health Department provides food establishment inspections across 11 counties. All 11 of those counties are currently in the affected area by the excessive water, the flooding, and that type of thing. One of the things we are contractually required to do related to those inspections is if there are any food establishments in an area where either a boil advisory or bottled water advisory has been issued, we need to follow up with those establishments to assure they understand the ramifications, the steps they need to go through before they go ahead and reopen. Now, boil, and we also will do this if it's a fire, loss of electricity, those types of things. It's a standard operating procedure. One of the things I think that occurred with this is when we sent out these notifications, if it is a smaller isolated area, we're able to make direct phone calls. But with the mass number that we had to reach out to, we opted to go through an email. Each one of those emails included a specific city and was only sent to those establishments in that city. And what we're understanding may have occurred is an establishment that has a chain of stores in the similar corporate area passed those emails on to areas that weren't under any sort of order such as that, and those stores took action like we would appreciate, but in this case, it was unmerited. And so we do appreciate the attention that the stores took to it. However, it has created quite a discrepancy as far as what is the status of the water in Sioux City and Woodbury County. So I'm just here to kind of share a little bit about that background information, maybe some reason as to where the misinformation came from. But as always, if there are any sort of issues like this that are addressed, media will be alerted. It'll be on social media, the websites, et cetera. And so kind of looking forward as we're moving forward as the water's receding is, any of you that have any questions related to recovery efforts and that, please check out the Sioux District Health Department website. We have a complete listing of all the sorts of resources, either for private residences or businesses, things they should consider to do as they are beginning to move back into their homes or opening up for business. So any questions?
What are the main health impacts of the last few days? What do you think they'll be?
One is we don't, we're concerned right now because of the heat and humidity and the number of individuals out there in their kind of response efforts. Number two is really related to the flooding. We've reviewed what is required for or requested for immunizations. They aren't really related to flooding. You just need to have your tetanus up to date. I know last time in 2011, we had a contingency that thought we should start administering yellow fever vaccine. There's no meriting for that because we don't have any cases of those upstream from where we're at. Along with the health things, it's just individuals being able to maintain a healthy lifestyle, get back in their home, and we're really concerned about the mental health and the stress that everyone's under.
You'd also have on your website, like, say if someone had through their basement drain water come up, had a few inches, there's going to be some sterilization that needs to take place.
There's recommended cleaning practices and solutions to use for cleaning out your own residence too.
You can help them with that.
Yep, those are those resources that are just linked right there. Any other questions? Thank you.
I think I get the blessing of being the last one today. Hi, my name is Heather Hennings. I'm the president of United Way of Siouxland here on behalf of the Siouxland Recovery Fund today. United Way serves as the fiscal agent for the fund, which is led by about 11 different emergency organizations in our community, including Woodbury County, Dakota County, Union County. We've got all of the police and fire, all of the rescue organizations involved. So the Siouxland Recovery Fund was activated on Sunday afternoon in response to the flooding in the entire region. So something different about this is it is the entire Siouxland area that we can support. This is an avenue beyond state and federal funding where individuals who are wanting to help out can do so. Businesses that want to make donations can do so. It's a way for people to do something beyond just cleaning out their closets, because that's not what people need right now. They need support from organizations like the Red Cross and Salvation Army and all these places that are going to be helping beyond even today in the coming months. So Union County, Dakota County, Woodbury County, and Plymouth counties will be primary areas that will be served through the Siouxland Recovery Fund. This morning, we actually also met with the COAD, which is the Community Organizations Active in Disasters, and determined that the Siouxland Recovery Fund webpage would serve as sort of a hub for individuals who want to find links to how can they volunteer their time once cleanup happens. How can they access resources if they've been affected. So we'll be pushing a bunch of information, links on that website, and so people can go to one place if they want to donate, if they want to volunteer, and if they need help. So lots of organizations, again, feeding into this. All information, it will be available at SiouxlandRecoveryFund.com. A lot of those resources are being built right now, so resources are going to be added to that. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll have the bulk of those available on the website. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the best way for folks to donate?
They can go to SiouxlandRecoveryFund.com. It's very easy. They can actually make a donation via PayPal, right, just from your phone, your computer. Also, Security National Bank is a partner, so they can donate at any Security National Bank Dropbox location. They can also donate just right at the United Way office if they're in the area. Any other questions? Okay. And I should mention, those donations will go directly to service organizations that are helping individuals. They're not for individuals to apply. Those will be resources that will be applied for through like FEMA and those kind of things. So, all right. Thank you for your time.
That's it, guys. Thanks so much.
Okay, that long press conference is coming to a close as several city, county, state, as well as federal officials. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst on hand for that press conference here at the Woodbury County Management Facility, updating people on the situation here in the Sioux City immediate area. 3 points we'll make real quick. Emphasized today by both utilities and health officials that the drinking water in Sioux City is okay to drink. There have been rumors and signage that there was a boil order issued. There was not. Drinking water is good to drink in the city. Also, the most impacted area locally here in Sioux City was the Riverside neighborhood. We've learned that the floodwaters are no longer topping the earthen levee there. City pumps are now removing water from the flooded area. They continue to make progress. The Sioux City Fire Marshal, Mark Asoff, was asked what could have been done to help prevent this. His comment was response of, "We could have known 2 weeks ago, and there's nothing we could have done." You can't compete with Mother Nature. That sums up that point. And also, earlier today in the Smithland area, rumors of an earthen levee there breaking and causing additional flooding. According to emergency management officials, there's no way to know if that earthen levee breached or if it was topped. They won't know that until the waters begin to recede. Again, a voluntary evacuation remains in place in Correctionville, as well as Smithland tonight, and no one will be allowed into Correctionville after 9:30 tonight, and that includes local residents of that community. Much more coming up this afternoon on KCAU 9 News at 5 and 6. In the meantime, have a good afternoon.